What it be, what it do, everybody? We are jumping right in here at hole 1 of UW Parkside. This is their main course. They used to have some other course on the other side of campus, but I have not seen it in playing condition in a long time. Hole 1 is a tight gap off the tee. It's going to play about 370 feet or so on hyzer the whole way. Now I'm playing to the main layout basket. There is another basket off to the left here, and I don't know if that position will be used. There's a brief shot of what the hole looks like. Again, playing about 370 feet or so. Tough birdie. Very tough birdie. Here's hole 2. You're throwing about 330 feet, trying to get around this brush on the left. I'm throwing a hyzer with a Firebird. Both rounds of practice I played, I was in the circle in a very similar spot coming up here. And there's an Onyx that I did not get wide enough. One thing you'll notice in this video is I did not cut out many shots, so you're going to see, just like that, some of the errant shots that do happen during practice rounds. In the past, I usually think I'm pretty good about not cutting everything out, but I wanted to show you guys that not every round I play is fantastic. And then here's, kind of a cruddy shot of looking back at the hole, just 330 feet or so. Here's hole 3. I'm going lefty backhand off the tee. There's going to be a headwind on this hole no matter what. So be aware of that. I was hyzer flipping a destroyer there, and that's my overstable one. Here I am throwing a X-Cal, and it does flip up a bit, but I just early released it too much. It's one of those holes that's hard to swing out because you're afraid of flipping over into 2's green. My putt there is in, so that's back-to-back birdies if you don't count my air ball on that first putt on the last hole. Not really concerned about score out here during the practice round. Here's hole 4. There is a longer tee behind this off in the woods, making it like a 500-something foot par 4. If that's used, you're really not throwing much different of a shot. The gap is very manageable. You're just trying to crush something out and get to the green. That was a really poor throw there. That's my understable destroyer. Did not give it enough height. And I kind of just threw this one out of anger because I was mad at those first few throws there. And I shanked it and almost hit the guys on hole 5. So
Jesus Christ.
That's a little rough. I shouldn't be throwing a Wraith into a crosswind. This green can be very squirrely. If you are very confident in putting, I would not even recommend putting anywhere from 3 feet outside of the base of that hill. It's just such a scary putt to run, especially with the rocks and so many chances to roll away. Here's hole 5. You're teeing off of a elevated stand. There's a rubber mat on the ground, so it's a little slick, but you're teeing off from there. The high fence there too can get a little bit tricky, and so just be cautious of that. This will be another headwind hole. Those first 2 mid-range shots were kind of just dumb. Maybe on a windless day I could get a mid there, but I think I'm going to go with a flex forehand just to make sure I stay clear of all the rough. As you can see there, it's mostly thorns and really crappy rough to be in. You can see I'm trying to get my way to the lie. And even from there, I don't have a tomahawk. The best I can do is a roller. And even that was, it hit a tree and the angle didn't get right. This is more of what I was looking for with this Onyx roller, but even that didn't really end up good. So I'll put out from there. This is going to be a hole that I think is not birdied very much. It's very gettable, probably 340, 350 feet. But with a headwind in play and all the dangerous rough, I think it's going to play over par. Hole 6, both positions were in, so these few shots here, I am trying to get to the right position. It's about 260 feet and then a pretty sharp turn. Both of those are pretty early release. If you throw a straight shot and you end up pin high, but in the middle of the fairway, you'll probably have about a 35-foot look. And then here is the shot to the left position. Both of these practice rounds I played, I pretty much parked it. That was about 20 short, but pretty good. Here is my jump putt from the shots I threw to the right basket. It's definitely harder to reach the right basket, so I imagine that's what will be used in tournament play. Even though I'm releasing this on Friday, I did film this last Sunday. So the temp holes were not in and different baskets were not moved around, so I had to play to a few pin positions. Here's hole 7. Yes, this one's pretty tricky. I was dealing with some wind here, and I really couldn't get anything to throw straight. I just couldn't do it. If they play to the position off to the right, it's a much easier throw. It'll be a forehand hyzer. But if they play to this one off in the woods, very difficult to get to. I think I'm still going to play like a forehand hyzer zone, just the way I couldn't hit the gap backhand there. I think I'm just going to try to lay up and play this one for par. I don't imagine a lot of birdies on this one as well, just because the green is so closed off. And you can see here it's a pretty short shot and very straight, which is why I attempted a few righty shots because of the way the fairway shapes. But I think I'm just going to go with the forehand. Here's hole 8, the shortest hole on this course. It's about 190 feet maybe. I'm going to go with a flex forehand zone. The hole bends to the left, and then the basket's on the right side. So I like the forehand zone there because it'll flex back for me and get a little bit closer to the pin. That's a really errant standstill backhand throw, something I've been trying to work on lately. And here's a couple good putts through the woods there. So that's a birdie. That's a must-get birdie. One of the very few like legitimate must-get birdies in this entire tournament, I think. This is here, hole 9, a very much a bonus birdie. One of the, honestly, the best holes on the course, and one of my like least favorite ones. It's so hard. The tee pad's in the perfect position where you just never feel comfortable releasing the disc. And as you can see, I progressively got closer and closer to hitting that tree, and then I did. But the truth, I threw on the first shot, got kind of lucky hitting some of those twigs and kicking me back to the middle. Those are some really bad putts there, no focus. But, when you're in that range, you can't miss a birdie on hole 9. If you can get the birdie here, you definitely want to take advantage. Here's hole 10. This is going to play the hardest on the course, I think. The brush on the bottom is really high, so you really can't throw like a low, straight hyzer flip line at the basket. So I'm trying to flex over here. There's a lot of airspace over to the left where the main position is. And if that's played, I think I'll probably still do the same idea here. But if I'm doing anything, I'm bailing out to the left. There's a creek on the right that you want to worry about as well. So I recommend any righty backhand players just bail out to the left, honestly, unless you think you can throw something straight or you have a big enough flex forehand. If you get caught up in the trees that kind of guard that airspace over to the left, you're usually just going to have like a forehand approach there like I did, because I unfortunately got cut off in the trees, those trees right there. And you can see all this airspace. If you can come and flex around here, it's pretty much unobstructed to the basket. So that's what I'm going for. A couple shots in the mud here. The mud on the back 9, or the back like 6 or so, is pretty bad, especially when we get into the woods. So that's something to take note of. Hole 11 is going to be a backhand hyzer for me. People with a 280-foot forehand on hyzer, that's what you're going to throw. I've seen people throw tomahawks here. Very tough shot to throw a turnover righty backhand on. This is a hole I think should be a must birdie for myself, but it'll probably play right around par. Here's hole 12. We get into the wooded section now. This hole plays slightly uphill, about 265 feet, dead straight. Another one of those holes where you never feel quite comfortable off the tee. The tee doesn't actually point straight at the basket, which is one thing. And you just like, I wish I had like an extra foot over to the left that I could throw. But I'm trying to throw mids here. Again, you can kind of see this is, my 25th or 26th hole of the day, and I've been throwing 3 to 4 shots per hole, so the fatigue's setting in there. You can see a couple errant shots, but that truth again did squirm up near the basket, so I was able to tap that in pretty much for a par. This is a hole that I found extremely challenging in the practice round. If we are playing to the far position off to the right, it's about 360 feet and pretty sharp turn. If you got a big enough forehand, go for it. Very hard pin to attack. As you can see here, I'm just hitting tree after tree after tree. And I think after this shot, I went and just picked up all my discs and came back. I think you'll see like a jump cut here from a different angle. Yeah, here. So I picked up all my discs and I tried some other things and I threw that straight into a tree. You can see here, I'm like, what am I doing? And then I figure it out. I throw an instinct, something a little bit straighter. I was a little ambitious trying to get close to the pin, but I think something a little straighter that pushes far is much easier. You can see here I'm about 25 feet out, and that's one of my best putts of the day so far, right in the heart. down a little high. If there is another basket there, short and left, that we could end up playing to. So that's just something to keep in mind. 2 baskets again in this spot. That first shot parked the main layout one, and then there's this one straight ahead, and the gap's pretty like obscure. I don't know if they'll play this one just because there's so much crap in the way on this. It's kind of a silly gap. But the other basket to the right is a little bit cut off. So I don't know, but I practiced to both. I feel pretty comfortable throwing to this one here. The other position, I'll probably just backhand my understable putter and just try to hyzer flip it up the gut. Maybe read the wind and see what's happening. Here's 15, the second to last hole on the main layout. Now they did add a few temp holes out here. There's going to be a few, I think 2 temp holes, I believe. You can check the U-disc layout. Everything is there on the U-disc layout for what those new temporary holes are going to be. And here I'm planning on throwing a forehand because the gap is very straight, and then the turn over to the basket is very sharp. I think the forehand works best here. I try a backhand with my Cayman, and it's going to end up a bit short. Not happy with the way that shapes the gap, so I'm probably going to go forehand Firebird in the tournament. I'm putting from the Cayman here, and I do make 1 putt, so if my backhand's feeling really good, maybe I'll go to it, but I think my plan is to throw the forehand. But that's one of those where I feel confident in both. There's the shape of the hole, and you can see the Firebird was pretty much perfect. Able to throw this in from about 15 feet. So feeling comfortable there. That's a hole I would like to get in the tournament. And then, so this path I don't think will actually be used at all because there is another temporary hole that you'll walk to on the other side of hole 16. And then this is hole 16. I think this will play as 18 or 19 on the course in tournament day. There's always a headwind on this hole, always. So keep that in mind. Everything here I was flipping over. That's my more understable rock 3. It flipped over to about circle's edge. And here I am just trying a bunch of different things, trying to flex a zone, bad throw. I mean, here's fatigue at its finest. Try to throw a truth, dumb idea. That's going to flip over and go. It's not actually out of bounds, but way, way deep. So I'm like, okay, what can I try now? How would it came in, smack into a frigging tree? Actually, that one ended up kind of okay. It kicked out of the brush. So I was like, all right, maybe a flex forehand will work, and then let's just cook that all the way over and throw it out of bounds. That sidewalk over there is out of bounds. I believe it'll be out of bounds. There's no reason it shouldn't be. Cooking over the onyx too, letting that go really long. That'll skip off of the path over there. But yeah, overall, I think this course is going to play pretty tough on tournament day, especially if the wind picks up. But no better way to wrap it up than a couple solid putts from Circle's Edge. So I'm pretty pumped. I'll wrap it up here in a second. Back out on the course in person, a live recording. But thank you for watching.
All right, so I'm wrapping it up out here at Parkside. And I'll just say that, the course, in my opinion, isn't quite tournament ready. It's just not up to the standard. The wooded holes, there's a lot of down trees, a lot of stumps in the fairways. Just not very cleaned up. The front 9 is pretty good. I would say the front 9's just fine. No complaints there. But the back 7 is a little problem. Plus, you got to add 2 holes out here or at Johnson, 2 temporary holes in order for this to be a full 36 tournament. Now, they have 20 holes at Johnson, but they've already, they've dumped 2 of them in favor of combining hole 7 and hole 7B's positions to make a longer hole. The primary difficult factor of this tournament is going to be mud and having to battle some maybe chilly temperatures. One thing I will say about Parkside is even if the wind says it's about 2 miles an hour on the Weather Channel, it's still going to be a big factor out here on those open holes. It seems like every hole is a headwind out here, especially hole 16. You could have a tailwind and it'd still be a headwind. With Johnson, the wind is less of a factor, a lot more wooded holes. But I think with how much out of bounds there is out there and how the holes are longer and a little bit trickier to navigate, I think you're going to see lower scores there, or higher scores technically. I think there's going to be a lot of trouble to navigate through both of these courses. Again, I'd rather just play 2 rounds at Johnson. But with that said, I think 12 under wins the tournament in NA1. That's just my honest opinion. I wouldn't be surprised if someone drops a 16 under and wins, but I think 12 under will do it. That's the number I'm trying to target. And if that doesn't do it for me, then maybe I got to be more aggressive and rethink some of my strategies. But that's going to be it for me today. Hopefully you found this helpful if you are playing this tournament. Otherwise, hopefully you enjoyed me being an absolute sprinkler system out here. So yeah, thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.